These are the consequences of betrayal.
The fluorescent light in my garage flickered like a dying heartbeat as I bent over the engine of my beat-up Ford. 10:30 at night, and I was still trying to fix what should have been a simple alternator replacement. But nothing in my life was simple anymore. At least Travis is a real man, unlike Dad. Emma's voice cut through the thin walls separating the garage from our kitchen. Mom deserves better than a washed-up loser. I straightened up, grease-stained wrench in my hand, and felt something cold settle in my chest. Nice to know my own 16-year-old daughter had my back. Maybe someday she'd stab it too, just to complete the family tradition. "Emma, that's enough!" Sarah's voice followed, but it lacked conviction. My wife of 18 years sounded more tired than angry, like she was going through the motions of defending me without actually meaning it. "It's true, though, isn't it?" Emma shot back. "He's pathetic. His business is failing. He spends every night out here playing with his tools instead of trying to fix anything real. Travis says, I don't care what Travis says." But I did. I cared a lot about what this Travis character had been saying to my wife and daughter, especially since I'd never heard the name before 3 weeks ago, and now it seemed to pop up in every conversation I wasn't supposed to be part of. I set down the wrench and wiped my hands on an old shop rag, listening to the muffled argument continue inside. Through the small window that looked out onto Maple Street, I could see Mrs. Delaney's living room lights still on. The old bat probably had her ear pressed against the glass, soaking up every word of our family drama like it was her personal soap opera. This whole neighborhood was like that, rusty, fading, full of people who'd given up on their own lives and found entertainment in watching others fall apart. The kind of place where everyone knew your business before you did, where secrets lasted about as long as fresh bread. My phone buzzed on the workbench. A text from Rick, my buddy who ran the MMA gym downtown. "You coming by tomorrow? Got some new heavy bags that need breaking in?" I almost smiled. Rick was one of the few people left who didn't treat me like I was radioactive. Ex-cop turned gym owner. He understood what it was like when life decided to use your face as a punching bag. The argument inside had died down, replaced by the sound of footsteps on stairs. Emma stomping up to her room, probably to post something on social media about what a disappointment her father was. Sarah's heels clicked across the kitchen floor, then stopped. I waited, wondering if she'd come out to the garage. We used to talk out here sometimes, back when we actually talked. She'd sit on the old stool by the tool chest while I worked, telling me about her cases at the law firm, asking about my electrical contracts. That felt like a lifetime ago. The kitchen door opened, and Sarah appeared in the doorway. Even at 10:30 at night, after a full day at the office and an argument with our daughter, she looked put together, professional. Her blonde hair was still perfectly styled, her makeup barely smudged. Everything about her screamed success, from her tailored suit to her expensive heels, everything except the fact that she was married to me. "We need to talk," she said, not stepping into the garage, like the grease and motor oil might contaminate her. "About what? How I'm a washed-up loser, or how Travis is such a real man?" I kept my voice level, but I saw her flinch. "She's 16, Mike. She says things she doesn't mean." "Does she?" Because it sounded like she meant every word. I leaned against the workbench, studying my wife's face. "Just like it sounds like you agree with her." Sarah's jaw tightened. "That's not fair." "Fair?" I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You want to talk about fair? Fair would be my wife and daughter not discussing what a failure I am with some guy named Travis. Fair would be knowing who the hell Travis is and why his opinion matters so much in my house." For a second, something flickered across Sarah's face. Guilt, maybe, or fear, but it was gone so fast I might have imagined it. "He's just a friend," she said. "Someone I met through Maya. You know how she's always introducing me to new people?" Maya, Sarah's best friend since college, the one who'd been filling my wife's head with ideas about living her best life and not settling for less than she deserved. Maya, who'd never liked me and made no effort to hide it. "A friend," I repeated. "Right. And this friend has opinions about our marriage?" "It's not like that." "Then what is it like, Sarah? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like my wife and daughter are discussing my shortcomings with some stranger, and I'm the last to know about it." She shifted uncomfortably, her heels scraping against the concrete step. "You're being paranoid." "Am I? Or am I finally paying attention?" We stared at each other across the garage. the fluorescent light casting harsh shadows on both our faces. 18 years of marriage, and we'd become strangers. Worse than strangers. We'd become enemies, pretending to be civil for the sake of appearances. I'm tired, Mike. I don't want to fight. Neither do I said. But I want answers. Tomorrow. We'll talk tomorrow. She turned to go back inside, then paused. And, Mike, maybe you should think about what Emma said, about trying to fix something real for a change. The door closed behind her with a soft click, leaving me alone in the garage with my broken truck and the taste of betrayal in my mouth. I picked up the wrench again, but my hands were shaking. 18 years of marriage, of building a life together, of thinking we were a team. And now my wife was taking relationship advice from some guy named Travis while my daughter cheered her on. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Rick. Everything okay? You've been quiet lately. I started to type back that everything was fine, then deleted it. Rick would see through that lie in a heartbeat. Instead, I wrote, long story, tell you tomorrow. Want to talk now? I almost said yes. Almost called him and spilled everything. The growing distance between Sarah and me, Emma's attitude, the feeling that I was losing my family one snide comment at a time. But it was late, and I wasn't ready to say the words out loud yet. Tomorrow, I typed back. I set the phone down and looked around the garage. My sanctuary. The one place in the house that was still mine still made sense. Every tool had its place, every project had a purpose. Unlike the rest of my life, which seemed to be falling apart faster than I could fix it. The alternator could wait until morning. I was too wound up to concentrate, and the last thing I needed was to electrocute myself because I couldn't focus. I started cleaning up, putting tools back in their proper places, trying to restore some order to at least this small corner of my world. That's when I saw it, Sarah's purse sitting on the shelf by the door. She must have set it down when she came out to talk to me, then forgotten it in her hurry to escape back to the house. I stared at it for a long moment. Black leather, expensive. The kind of thing she bought when she got a bonus at work. The kind of thing that cost more than most people made in a week. I shouldn't look. I knew I shouldn't. But Emma's words echoed in my head. At least Travis is a real man. And Sarah's non-denial when I'd asked about him. Before I could talk myself out of it, I opened the purse. Wallet, keys, makeup, the usual stuff. But tucked into a side pocket, I found something that made my blood run cold. A small baggie with what looked like marijuana. Not much, just enough for personal use, but Sarah had never smoked dope in her life, at least not the Sarah I thought I knew. My hands moved on their own, digging deeper into the purse. And there, in another pocket, I found her phone. She'd forgotten it too, or maybe left it on purpose. The screen was locked, but I knew her passcode, our anniversary date. The irony wasn't lost on me. I scrolled through her text messages, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it over the hum of the fluorescent light. Most of them were work-related or conversations with Emma. But then I found a thread that made my world tilt sideways. Travis. Can't wait to see you tomorrow night. Same place? Sarah. Yes, Mike will be working late again. He never pays attention anyway. Travis. Good. Bring that thing we talked about. The stuff Maya got us. Sarah. Already in my purse. This is crazy, but it feels so good to finally live a little. Travis. You deserve to live, baby. You deserve everything you've been missing. The phone slipped from my numb fingers, clattering onto the concrete floor. I stared at it, the screen now dark, wondering if I'd imagined what I'd just read. But the baggie of dope was still there in Sarah's purse, proof that my wife had become someone I didn't recognize. Outside, Mrs. Delaney's light went out, plunging the street into darkness. But I stood there in the harsh glare of the garage light, seeing everything clearly for the first time in months. My wife was cheating on me, with some guy named Travis, and Maya, sweet, supportive Maya, had apparently supplied them with pills to enhance the experience. I thought about all the late nights Sarah had claimed to be working, all the girls' nights out with Maya, all the times she'd come home smelling like someone else's cologne, and claimed it was just from being around clients all day. How long had this been going on? How many times had I kissed her goodnight, thinking she was tired from work when she was really tired from screwing another man? I picked up the phone and scrolled through more messages, each one a knife twist in my chest. Photos that made me sick, plans that excluded me completely, conversations about how pathetic I was, how Travis was everything I wasn't, and through it all, Maya's influence, encouraging Sarah to explore her options and not waste her prime years on someone who doesn't appreciate her. The garage suddenly felt too small, too hot. I stumbled outside into the cool night air, Sarah's phone clutched in my hand like evidence at a crime scene, which, I supposed, it was. Across the street, a light flickered on in the Johnson house. Probably heard me stumbling around like a drunk. By tomorrow, the whole neighborhood would know something was wrong with the Hartley family. But they didn't know how wrong. Not yet. I looked back at my house, the house I'd been paying the mortgage on for 12 years. The house where I'd thought I was building a life with the woman I loved. Now it looked like a stranger's house, full of secrets and lies. My phone buzzed with a text from Rick. "Seriously, man? You okay?" This time, I didn't hesitate. "No, I'm not okay, and tomorrow I'm going to tell you why." The next morning came too soon and not soon enough. I'd spent the night on the couch in my office, staring at the ceiling and replaying every conversation, every excuse, every time Sarah had claimed to be somewhere she wasn't. Sleep was impossible when your entire life had just revealed itself to be a lie. Sarah found me there at 6 a.m., already dressed for work in another one of her power suits. She looked surprised to see me, then concerned in that practiced way lawyers perfected for juries. "Mike, what are you doing down here? I was looking for my purse and phone." I'd put both items back exactly where she'd left them, but not before taking screenshots of every incriminating message. Insurance, in case she decided to delete the evidence. "Couldn't sleep," I said, which was true enough. "Kept thinking about what you said, about fixing something real." Something flickered across her face. Relief, maybe, that I wasn't asking the right questions. "That's good. I think we both need to work on things." "Yeah, we do." She kissed my forehead like I was a sick child, grabbed her purse and phone from the garage, and left for work. Emma followed 20 minutes later, barely grunting a goodbye in my direction. Just another normal morning in the Hartley household, except now I knew exactly how abnormal everything really was. I waited until both their cars were out of sight, then grabbed my keys and headed for Rick's gym. The Knockout Factory sat between a pawn shop and a Chinese restaurant on the seedier side of downtown. Rick had bought the building cheap 5 years ago and turned it into something that looked like a cross between a boxing gym and a motorcycle garage. The smell of sweat, leather, and determination hit me the moment I walked through the door. Rick was in the ring with a kid who couldn't have been more than 20, teaching him how to throw a proper jab. Ex-cop reflexes meant he spotted me immediately, even while correcting the kid's footwork. "Jimmy, take 5, he called out. "Practice what I showed you on the heavy bag." He climbed out of the ring, a mountain of a man with graying hair and scars that told stories he rarely shared. We'd served together in Middle East before he'd come home and joined the police force. Now he was the closest thing I had to a brother. "You look like hell," he said, tossing me a pair of boxing gloves. "Want to talk about it or work it out first?" "Work first. Talk after." For the next hour, I knocked the hell out of Rick's heavy bags. Every punch was Sarah's face, Travis's face, Maya's smug expression whenever she looked at me like I was something she'd scraped off her shoe. Rick held the bag and let me work, occasionally calling out combinations or telling me to keep my guard up. By the time I was done, my knuckles were raw and my shirt was soaked with sweat, but my head was clearer than it had been in months. "Feel better?" Rick asked, unwrapping my hands. "Some. You got time to listen to something that's going to piss you off." "Always got time for that." We sat in his office, a cramped space behind the gym that smelled like coffee and old leather. I told him everything. The argument I'd overheard, Sarah's purse, the text messages, the dope, all of it. Rick listened without interrupting, his cop face giving nothing away. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair and studied me. "What do you want to do about it?" "I don't know. Part of me wants to confront her, demand answers. Part of me wants to pretend I never saw anything. And the other part?" I met his eyes. "The other part wants to find this Travis guy and show him what a real Marine does to homewreckers." Rick nodded slowly. "I get that, but you're not going to do that." "Why not?" "Because you're smarter than that. And because if you want revenge, you don't get caught like an amateur. You make them stew in their own mess." "Meaning what?" "Meaning you gather evidence. You document everything. You find out exactly what you're dealing with before you make your move." He leaned forward. "You said her text mentioned same place. You know where that is?" "No idea." "Then tonight you find out." The idea of following my own wife made me feel sick, but Rick was right. I needed to know the full scope of what I was dealing with before I decided how to handle it. What if I don't like what I find? Then you'll know where you stand, and you can decide what to do about it from a position of strength instead of ignorance. I spent the rest of the day trying to act normal, which was harder than it sounded. I had 3 electrical jobs scheduled, routine maintenance work that should have been easy. Instead, I found myself staring at circuit breakers and forgetting what I was supposed to be testing. Mrs. Patterson, whose kitchen outlets I was replacing, kept asking if I was feeling all right. "You seem distracted, dear. Everything okay at home?" Even the clients were noticing. In a town this size, everyone knew everyone else's business, or thought they did. Mrs. Patterson had probably heard about the argument last night through the neighborhood gossip network. "Just tired," I told her. "Late night in the garage." She nodded sympathetically. "Men and their projects. My late husband was the same way, always tinkering with something instead of paying attention to what was right in front of him." The words hit closer to home than she could have known. Had I been so focused on my work, my projects, my own problems that I'd missed the signs of my marriage falling apart? Or had Sarah just gotten better at lying? By 6 p.m., I was parked across the street from Sarah's law office, waiting for her to leave. She emerged 20 minutes later with Maya, both of them laughing about something as they walked to their cars. They talked for a few minutes in the parking lot, Maya gesturing animatedly while Sarah nodded. Then they separated. Maya drove toward her house on the north side of town. Sarah drove toward downtown, but not toward home. I followed at a distance, my heart pounding like I was on a combat patrol. Sarah's BMW wound through the older part of town, past the courthouse and the antique shops, finally pulling into the parking lot of the Riverside Motel. The Riverside was the kind of place that rented rooms by the hour and didn't ask questions. Peeling paint, broken neon sign, the lingering smell of desperation, and cheap disinfectant. Not exactly where I'd expected to find my successful lawyer wife. Sarah parked near the back in a spot that couldn't be seen from the road. Smart, but not smart enough to notice the beat-up Ford that had followed her there. I watched from across the parking lot as she got out of her car and walked to room 237. She didn't knock. She had a key. How long had this been going on? How many times had she told me she was working late while she was really here, in this dump with another man? A red pickup truck pulled into the lot 10 minutes later. Newer than mine, with custom rims and a sound system that announced its arrival from 3 blocks away. The driver was younger than me, maybe early 30s, with the kind of build that came from working out at a commercial gym instead of doing real work. He wore jeans and a tight t-shirt that showed off his muscles, and he walked like he owned the world. Travis, I assumed. The real man my daughter thought was so much better than her father. He went straight to room 237, using his own key. I sat in my truck for another 10 minutes, fighting the urge to kick down the door and drag them both out into the parking lot. But Rick's words echoed in my head. Don't get caught like an amateur. Instead, I took pictures. The motel, the room number, both vehicles with their license plates clearly visible. Evidence, like Rick had said. Documentation of exactly what my wife was doing while I was home fixing her garbage disposal and paying her credit card bills. Then I got out of the truck and walked to the window of room 237. The curtains were drawn, but there was a gap just wide enough to see inside. And what I saw made my blood turn to ice water. Sarah was on the bed, without clothes except for a pair of red heels I'd bought her for Christmas. Travis was on top of her, and they were both clearly high on whatever Maya had supplied them with. The room reeked of marijuana and Zex, and my wife was making sounds I hadn't heard from her in years. I took more pictures, hating myself for it, but knowing I'd need them later. Then I walked back to Travis's truck and used my keys to carve Cheater into the driver's side door. I found a used men's protection in the motel dumpster. Not theirs, but they wouldn't know that, and left it on his dashboard. Petty? Maybe, but it felt good to do something, anything to strike back. I was walking back to my truck when I heard the camera click. Mrs. Delaney stood at the edge of the parking lot, her phone pointed directly at me. My nosy neighbor, who apparently had business at the Riverside Motel. Or maybe she'd followed me the same way I'd followed Sarah. "Evening, Mike," she said, her voice full of fake sweetness. "Fancy meeting you here." My stomach dropped. "Mrs. Delaney, what brings you to this part of town?" "Oh, errands." She held up her phone, and I could see she'd taken several pictures. I'm sure Sarah will be interested to know her husband was here tonight. Might explain some things. She climbed into her ancient Buick and drove away, leaving me standing in the parking lot with the sick realization that I'd just been caught at the scene of my wife's infidelity. And in a town where gossip traveled faster than the speed of light, Sarah would know about it before I made it home. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Saw you at the motel tonight. Interesting. Mrs. D. Then another text, this one from Sarah. We need to talk now. I looked back at room 237, where the lights were still on and my marriage was officially over. Then I got in my truck and drove home to face whatever was waiting for me. Small town justice, I thought. It's always on camera, and the jury is your neighbor's iPhone. Sarah's BMW was already in the driveway when I pulled up to the house. The living room lights were on, and I could see her pacing back and forth past the window like a caged animal. Emma's car was gone, probably at a friend's house, which was just as well. What was about to happen didn't need an audience. I sat in my truck for a moment, gathering my thoughts. Mrs. Delaney's interference had changed everything. Instead of having time to plan my next move, I was walking into a confrontation I wasn't ready for. But maybe that was for the best. Maybe it was time to stop pretending everything was fine. Sarah met me at the front door before I could even get my keys out. Her face was flushed, her carefully styled hair disheveled, and she still smelled like marijuana and another man's cologne. "Where the hell have you been?" she demanded. The audacity of it almost made me laugh. "Out, like you've been for the past however many months." "Don't you dare. Turn this around on me." Mrs. Delaney called. "She said you were at the Riverside Motel, vandalizing someone's truck. What is wrong with you?" I pushed past her into the house, heading for the kitchen. I needed coffee or whiskey or both. "What's wrong with me? That's rich, Sarah, really rich." She followed me, her heels clicking angrily on the hardwood floor. "You're acting crazy, paranoid, following me around, destroying other people's property." "Other people's property?" I turned to face her, and she took a step back at whatever she saw in my expression. "You mean Travis's property, your boyfriend's truck?" The color drained from her face. "I don't know what you're talking about. Room 237, red pickup truck with custom rims? Ring any bells?" She opened her mouth, then closed it again. For the first time in years, my articulate lawyer wife was speechless. "I saw the texts, Sarah. I know about the dope Maya's been supplying you with. I know about your girls' nights out that apparently include guys I've never met. I know about everything." She sank into one of the kitchen chairs, her professional composure crumbling. "Mike, I can explain." "Can you? Can you explain why my wife of 18 years is screwing some lowlife in a Fleabag motel? Can you explain why my daughter thinks this Travis guy is more of a man than I am? Because I'm really curious about that part." Tears started running down her cheeks, smearing her makeup. "You don't understand. Things between us have been bad for so long. So you decided to make them worse by having an affair? It's not an affair." The words burst out of her like she'd been holding them back for months. "It's not that simple." "Then explain it to me. Make me understand how screwing another man isn't an affair." She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand, leaving black streaks of mascara on her skin. "Maya said, she said marriages don't have to be prisons, that people can have arrangements, understandings, open relationships." Open relationships. I repeated the words slowly, tasting the betrayal in them. "And when exactly did we discuss opening our relationship? Because I seem to have missed that conversation." "I tried to talk to you, but you're always in that garage, always working, always too busy to pay attention to what I need." What you need is therapy, Sarah, not pills and strange men in motel rooms." She stood up, her lawyer instincts kicking in even through the tears. "Don't you dare judge me. You have no idea what it's like being married to someone who's given up on everything. Your business is failing. You spend every night hiding in the garage. You haven't touched me in months. I haven't touched you because every time I try, you act like I'm bothering you. Because you are. Because you're not the man I married. That man had ambition, had dreams. This version of you just exists." The words hit like physical blows, each one designed to hurt as much as possible. And they worked. For a moment, I almost believed her. Almost accepted that this was my fault, that I'd driven her into another man's arms through my own failures. Then I remembered the texts, the laughter, the way she and Travis had talked about me like I was a joke they shared. "So this is my fault," I said quietly. "My business struggles, my depression after losing 3 major contracts last year. My attempts to keep our family afloat while you climb the corporate ladder. That justifies you cheating on me. I'm not cheating. Then what do you call it? She was quiet for a long moment, staring at her hands. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. I call it surviving. Surviving. I nodded slowly. Okay, I can understand that. But here's what I don't understand. Why didn't you just ask for a divorce? Why the lies, the sneaking around, the humiliation? Because I don't want a divorce. I want my husband back. The real one, not this broken version. And Travis? What's he supposed to be, therapy? Her face hardened. He's someone who makes me feel alive again. Someone who sees me as more than just a paycheck and a housekeeper. I never saw you as, yes, you did. When was the last time we went out together? When was the last time you planned something special for us? When was the last time you made me feel like I was worth the effort? I opened my mouth to argue, then closed it again. Because she was right about some of it. I had been distant, distracted by work problems and money stress. I had been taking her for granted, assuming she'd always be there while I figured out how to save my failing business. But that didn't justify what she'd done. What they'd both done. So what now? I asked. Do we pretend this conversation never happened? Do I go back to the garage while you go back to room 237? I don't know, she said. And for the first time, she sounded genuinely lost. I honestly don't know. My phone buzzed with a text message. Then another, then a third. Word was spreading through the neighborhood network, probably starting with Mrs. Delaney's photos and growing with each retelling. You might want to check your phone, I said. I have a feeling our private business is about to become very public. Sarah grabbed her phone from her purse and scrolled through her messages. I watched her face go pale, then red, then pale again. Oh, God, she whispered. Mrs. Delaney sent the photos to everyone. The whole neighborhood knows. Knows what? That I was at the motel or that you were there first? She looked up at me with something like panic in her eyes. Mike, you have to help me fix this. My career, my reputation. Your reputation? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Sarah, you've been screwing a pill dealer in a pay-by-the-hour motel. I think your reputation was already pretty well shot. He's not a pill dealer. Then what is he? What does Travis do for a living that makes him such a catch? She was quiet for a moment. He helps people relax. He provides a service. He's a pill dealer. It's just marijuana. It's practically legal now. Practically legal and actually legal are two very different things, especially for a lawyer who's supposed to be upholding the law. The full implications of what she'd done were starting to sink in. Not just the affair, but the pills, the association with someone who was probably on the police radar. Sarah had risked everything, her career, her family, her future. For what? A few hours of feeling alive? I need to call Maya, she said, already dialing. She'll know what to do. Of course she would call Maya, the puppet master who'd orchestrated this whole mess, who'd convinced my wife that destroying our marriage was somehow empowering. I listened to Sarah's side of the conversation, watching her face cycle through emotions as Maya apparently told her how to handle the crisis. When she hung up, she looked more composed, but also more distant. Maya says this will blow over. Small-town gossip always does. We just need to present a united front, show everyone that we're working through our problems together. A united front, I repeated. Like a team. Yes, like a team. And Travis? What happens to him in this united front scenario? She hesitated. That's complicated. Uncomplicated for me. He's not going anywhere, Mike. I can't just turn off what I feel for him. There it was. The truth she'd been dancing around all night. She didn't want to fix our marriage. She wanted to have her cake and eat it too. The security of being married to me and the excitement of screwing Travis. Then we have a problem, I said, because I'm not interested in being part of your open relationship experiment. So what are you saying? I looked around the kitchen where we'd shared thousands of meals, where we'd planned Emma's birthday parties and discussed our dreams for the future, where I'd thought we were building something permanent and real. I'm saying you need to choose, him or me, but not both. That's not fair. Fair. I stood up, suddenly exhausted by the whole conversation. Sarah, you've been lying to me for months. You've been sleeping with another man, doing pills, turning our daughter against me, and humiliating me in front of the entire neighborhood. And you want to talk about fair? She started crying again, but this time it felt calculated. Lawyer tears. designed to manipulate rather than express genuine emotion. "I need time to think," she said. "You've had plenty of time to think. You've had time to plan, time to sneak around, time to build a whole secret life. What you need is to make a decision. And if I choose him?" The question hung in the air between us like a loaded tool. Because we both knew what the answer was. If she chose Travis, our marriage was over. If she chose me, I'd spend the rest of my life wondering when she'd choose someone else. "Then I guess we'll find out what divorce looks like," I said. She flinched like I'd slapped her. "You'd really do that? After 18 years? Sarah, you already did that. I'm just acknowledging reality." My phone buzzed again. Another text, this one from Emma. "Dad, what's going on? People are posting stuff about you and Mom online." Great. Now our family drama was social media entertainment. By tomorrow, everyone in town would have an opinion about our marriage, and most of them would be wrong, but loudly expressed. "Emma's asking questions," I said, showing Sarah the text. "What do you want to tell her? The truth or another lie?" "She doesn't need to know the details. She already knows some of them. She's the one who told me Travis was more of a man than I am, remember?" Sarah's face crumpled. "I never meant for her to get involved. But she is involved. She's been taking sides in a war she didn't even know was happening. And from what I heard last night, she's not on mine. She's just confused. Teenagers say things. Teenagers repeat what they hear adults say. So the question is, what have you and Maya been saying about me in front of my daughter?" Silence, which was answer enough. I walked toward the door, suddenly needing air that didn't smell like perfume and lies. "I'm going back to the garage. When you decide what you want, him or me, let me know. But Sarah," she looked up at me with red, swollen eyes, "choose carefully, because whatever you decide, there's no going back from it." I left her sitting at the kitchen table, surrounded by the wreckage of our marriage and the growing scandal that would be the talk of the town by morning. In the garage, I opened a beer and sat on my workbench staring at the tools that had never lied to me, never betrayed me, never made me question everything I thought I knew about my life. Outside, Mrs. Delaney's light was on again, probably updating her social media followers on the latest developments in the Hartley family meltdown. Small-town justice, I thought again. Everyone's a witness, and everyone's a judge. But they hadn't seen anything yet. The next morning brought a new level of hell I hadn't anticipated. My phone started ringing at 6 a.m. with calls from numbers I didn't recognize. Reporters from the county newspaper, bloggers who covered local scandals, even someone claiming to be from a podcast about small-town drama. Apparently, Mrs. Delaney had done more than just text her neighbors. She'd posted the photos on Facebook, Instagram, and what looked like every local community group she could find. By sunrise, the story of Mike Hartley's midnight visit to the Riverside Motel had reached viral status in our little corner of the world. The headlines were creative. I had to give them that. Local electrician sparks drama at downtown motel. Marriage short circuits after infidelity exposed. Shocking behavior leaves community buzzing. Every single one painted me as the villain. The jealous husband who'd followed his wife and vandalized an innocent man's truck. None of them mentioned what Sarah and Travis had been doing in that motel room, or how long it had been going on. I was getting dressed when Sarah knocked on the garage door. She looked like she hadn't slept, her professional armor replaced by sweatpants and one of my old college t-shirts. "We need to go to Emma's school," she said without preamble. "There's been an incident." My blood went cold. "What kind of incident?" "Some kids saw the posts online. They were teasing her about us. She got into a fight with another girl and they're suspending her for 3 days." I grabbed my keys. "Let's go." The drive to Lincoln High was silent except for Sarah's occasional sniffles. I wanted to feel sorry for her, but every time I started to soften, I remembered the sounds she'd made in that motel room with another man. Principal Morrison was waiting for us in his office, along with Emma, who looked like she'd been crying for hours. Her knuckles were scraped and there was a bruise forming on her left cheek. "Mr. and Mrs. Hartley," Morrison said, gesturing to the chairs across from his desk. "I'm afraid we have a serious situation here." Emma wouldn't look at either of us. She sat hunched in her chair, arms crossed, radiating the kind of fury that only teenagers could manage. "What happened?" Sarah asked. "There was an altercation during lunch period. Some students were discussing recent social media posts about your family." Emma took exception to their comments and physically attacked another student. "What were they saying?" I asked. Morrison looked uncomfortable. I'd rather not repeat the specific language, but it involved speculation about your marriage and some rather crude observations about the situation. They called Mom a hooker, Emma said suddenly, her voice raw with anger. They said Dad was pathetic for not being able to keep his wife happy. They said our whole family was a joke. The words hit like a punch to the gut. This was what I'd been afraid of. Our private pain becoming public entertainment. Our daughter paying the price for adult failures. Emma, Sarah started, but our daughter cut her off. Don't. Just don't. This is your fault, both of you. She finally looked up, and the hatred in her eyes was devastating. You couldn't keep your problems private, could you? You had to drag the whole town into it. Now everyone at school thinks I'm trash because my parents can't act like adults. That's enough, Morrison said firmly. Emma, you're suspended for 3 days for fighting. Mr. and Mrs. Hartley, I strongly suggest you handle your personal issues more discreetly in the future. This kind of publicity reflects poorly on the entire school community. We left the school in separate cars, Emma riding with Sarah while I followed behind. But instead of going home, Sarah pulled into the parking lot of Maya's office building. Through my windshield, I watched my wife and daughter disappear inside, seeking comfort from the woman who'd helped destroy our family in the first place. I drove to Rick's gym instead. Heard you made the news, Rick said when I walked through the door. He was training the same kid from yesterday, but he waved him off when he saw my face. It's a nightmare, I said. Emma got suspended for fighting kids who were calling Sarah names. The whole town thinks I'm some kind of stalker, and my wife is probably getting advice from Maya on how to spin this whole thing. Maya, Rick said thoughtfully. The best friend, right? The one who's been encouraging all this. Yeah, why? Just thinking. In my experience, when someone's that invested in breaking up a marriage, they usually have their own agenda. What do you mean? I mean, maybe you should find out more about Maya's role in all this. People don't usually work that hard to destroy someone else's relationship unless there's something in it for them. Rick's words stuck with me as I drove around town, trying to avoid going home to face whatever new crisis was waiting there. I found myself parked outside Maya's office, a sleek glass building that housed several law firms and consulting businesses. Maya ran some kind of life coaching practice, helping women discover their authentic selves and break free from limiting relationships. Her website was full of buzzwords about empowerment and self-actualization. But reading between the lines, it seemed like her specialty was convincing married women to leave their husbands. How many marriages had she helped destroy in the name of female empowerment? How many families had she torn apart while collecting consulting fees? My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Saw the news. Sorry about your situation. If you want to know the truth about Maya and Travis, meet me at Denny's on Route 9 at 8 p.m. Come alone. I stared at the message, wondering if this was some kind of trap or if someone genuinely had information I needed. But at this point, I was desperate enough to take the risk. The afternoon crawled by. I had 2 electrical jobs scheduled, but both clients called to cancel. Word had apparently spread that hiring Mike Hartley might bring unwanted drama to their homes. My business, already struggling, was now effectively dead in the water. By 7 p.m., I was sitting in my truck outside Denny's, watching cars pull in and out of the parking lot. I'd arrived early to scope out the situation, old military habits kicking in when I felt vulnerable. At exactly 8 o'clock, a woman I didn't recognize walked through the front door. Mid-30s, brown hair, nervous energy. She looked around the restaurant, spotted me in my booth by the window, and walked over. Mike Hartley? She asked. That's me. And you are? Jennifer Walsh. I used to be married to Travis. That got my attention. Used to be? She slid into the seat across from me, her hands shaking as she reached for the coffee menu. Divorced 6 months ago. Thanks to Maya's life coaching and my ex-husband's new career as a professional homewrecker. He's done this before? Jennifer laughed, but there was no humor in it. Done it before? Mike, breaking up marriages is literally how he makes his living. Him and Maya have a whole system worked out. What kind of system? Maya identifies unhappy wives through her coaching practice. Women who are vulnerable, frustrated, looking for someone to blame for their problems. She convinces them their husbands are holding them back, that they deserve better. Then she introduces them to Travis. My blood was starting to boil. And then what? Travis plays the role of the exciting bad boy. He supplies pills, usually marijuana or sometimes pills, to lower inhibitions. He makes these women feel young and desirable again. And while they're busy having their midlife crisis affairs, Maya documents everything. Documents it how? Jennifer pulled out her phone and showed me a series of photos. Travis with different women in different locations, all of them looking high and disheveled. She takes pictures, records conversations, gathers evidence. Then she uses it to help the women get better divorce settlements. Blackmail. Legal blackmail. She helps them present themselves as the sufferers of neglectful husbands while hiding their own infidelity. The husbands get destroyed in divorce court. The women get the houses and custody and alimony, and Maya gets a percentage of the settlement. I felt sick. How many times have they done this? At least a dozen that I know of, maybe more. Travis brags about it when he's drunk, calls it his retirement plan. Each divorce nets them anywhere from $50,000 to $200,000, depending on how much the husband is worth. And your divorce? I got nothing. Travis had hidden all our assets, claimed I was an unfit mother because of pill use. Pills he'd supplied, by the way. Maya helped him paint me as the unstable one while he played the sufferer. I lost my house, my kids, everything. The pieces were falling into place. Sarah's sudden interest in open relationships, Maya's encouragement to explore her options, the pills, the motel meetings, Emma's attitude change, all of it orchestrated to position Sarah as the wronged party in an inevitable divorce. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Because I've been watching them destroy families for months and I can't take it anymore. And because I heard your daughter got suspended today for defending her mother's honor. She doesn't know she's defending the woman who's planning to take everything you own. Do you have proof? Evidence of what they're doing? Jennifer reached into her purse and pulled out a flash drive. Everything I could gather, photos, recordings, financial records showing the payments Maya receives after each divorce, it's all there. I took the drive, feeling its weight like it contained explosives, which, in a way, it did. What are you going to do with it? Jennifer asked. I don't know yet, but whatever I do, it's going to be devastating. She smiled for the first time since sitting down. Good. They destroyed my life, and they're destroying yours. It's time someone fought back. After Jennifer left, I sat in the Denny's parking lot for another hour, staring at the flash drive and thinking about everything she'd told me. My marriage wasn't just falling apart. It was being systematically demolished by professionals who'd done this before. Sarah wasn't having a midlife crisis. She was being manipulated by experts who saw our 18 years together as nothing more than a business opportunity. And Emma, my daughter who'd called me pathetic and defended Travis as a real man, was being used as a weapon against me by people who didn't care about her at all. The rage that filled me was different from anything I'd felt before. This wasn't just about infidelity or betrayal anymore. This was about hunters who made their living by destroying families, and they'd chosen mine as their latest sufferer. But they'd made one crucial mistake. They'd assumed I was just another weak, distracted husband who'd roll over and let them take everything without a fight. They were about to learn exactly how wrong they were. I drove home with the flash drive burning a hole in my pocket and a plan starting to form in my mind. Sarah's BMW was in the driveway, along with Maya's white Lexus. Perfect. Time to crash their strategy session. I walked through the front door to find them in the living room with Emma, all three of them looking up at me with varying degrees of guilt and defiance. Mike, Sarah started. We need to talk about how we're going to handle the media attention, I finished. Yeah, I bet you do, but first I think we should talk about Maya's business model. Maya's face went pale. I don't know what you mean. Sure you do. The family destruction business. You and Travis, working together to identify vulnerable wives, seduce them into affairs, then help them take their husbands for everything they're worth in divorce court. The silence that followed was deafening. Emma looked confused, Sarah looked shocked, and Maya looked like a deer caught in headlights. That's ridiculous, Maya said, but her voice lacked conviction. Is it? Because I have evidence that says otherwise. Photos, financial records, documentation of at least a dozen marriages you've helped destroy, including Jennifer Walsh's. Maya stood up abruptly. I don't have to listen to this paranoid nonsense. Sit down, I said, and something in my voice made her comply. Because we're just getting started. I looked at Sarah, who was staring at Maya with growing horror. Did you know about the other women, the pattern, the money changing hands? What money? Sarah whispered. The money Maya gets paid when her clients' divorces are finalized. Her cut of the settlement. Her fee for services rendered. Did you think she was helping you out of the goodness of her heart? Emma was looking back and forth between the adults, finally starting to understand that something much bigger and uglier was happening than she'd realized. "Mom?" she said quietly. "What's he talking about?" Sarah turned to Maya, and I could see the moment when everything clicked into place. "Maya, tell me this isn't true. Tell me you weren't using me." But Maya's silence was answer enough. "Oh, God," Sarah breathed. "Oh, my God, what have I done?" "You've been played," I said. "You've been manipulated by professionals who saw our marriage as a profit opportunity. The question now is what you're going to do about it." Maya made a break for the door, but I was faster. 18 years of marriage might have made me complacent, but 2 tours in Middle East had made me quick when it mattered. "Going somewhere?" I asked, blocking her exit. "I think we should finish our conversation first." Because this was just the beginning. Maya and Travis had destroyed my family, but they'd underestimated exactly who they were dealing with. It was time to show them what happened when you targeted the wrong Marine's family. The real war was about to begin. Maya stood frozen by the door, her perfectly composed mask finally slipping to reveal the calculating hunter underneath. Sarah sat on the couch looking like she'd been hit by a truck, while Emma stared at all of us with growing understanding and horror. "Sit down, Maya," I said again, my voice carrying the kind of authority I'd learned in the Marines. "We're going to have a conversation about your business practices." "I don't know what you think you know," Maya said, but she moved back toward the living room. "But you're making serious accusations without proof." I pulled out the flash drive Jennifer had given me. "This contains financial records showing payments you've received after 12 different divorces, photos of Travis with various married women, recorded conversations where you discuss your retirement plan with him. Should I go on?" Sarah's face had gone completely white. "Maya, please tell me this isn't true. Please tell me you weren't using me." Maya's laugh was bitter and cold. "Using you? Sarah, I was saving you. You were miserable in this marriage, trapped with a man who took you for granted and treated you like a servant. I helped you see that you deserve better." "By introducing her to a professional homewrecker," I said. "By supplying pills to lower her inhibitions, by documenting her affair so you could use it as leverage in divorce proceedings." "That's not," Maya started, then stopped herself. "That's not what?" I pressed. "Not how it works? Not what you plan to do to my family?" Emma had been quiet through this exchange, but now she spoke up, her voice small and confused. "Mom, is this true? Were you really going to divorce Dad?" Sarah looked at her daughter, then at me, then at Maya. For the first time in months, I could see the woman I'd married underneath all the manipulation and lies. "I don't know," she whispered. "I thought Maya said I could have both, that modern marriages could be more flexible, more open. She said I didn't have to choose." "Because choosing would have ended her payday," I said. "As long as you stayed married but kept the affair going, she could document everything and build a case for when she was ready to pull the trigger." Maya finally dropped the pretense entirely. "You want to know the truth, Mike? Fine. Your marriage was already over. Sarah was miserable, your business was failing, your daughter couldn't stand you. I didn't destroy anything, I just helped Sarah see what was already there. By manipulating her into an affair with your partner. Travis isn't my partner. He's an independent contractor." The casual way she said it made my blood boil. "An independent contractor? That's what you call a man who seduces married women for money?" "I call him someone who provides a service. Sarah needed to feel desired, appreciated, alive again. Travis gave her that. And yes, I documented their relationship in case Sarah decided she wanted out of this marriage. That's called being prepared. It's called blackmail and extortion," Maya shrugged. "It's called business. Do you have any idea how many women are trapped in marriages like yours, married to men who've given up, who take them for granted, who treat them like furniture? I help them escape by destroying their families, by showing them they have options. Sarah could have had everything, the excitement with Travis, the security of staying married to you, and the freedom to explore what she really wanted. Instead, you had to go all jealous husband and ruin everything." I looked at Sarah, who was staring at Maya like she was seeing her for the first time. "Sarah, did you know about the other women? Did you know this was Travis's job?" "No," Sarah said quietly. I thought I was special, that what we had was real." Maya laughed. "Oh, honey, what you had was exactly what I designed it to be. Travis is very good at making women feel special. It's what I pay him for." Emma stood up suddenly, her face flushed with anger. "You're sick, both of you. You destroyed our family for money? Your family was already destroyed, Maya said. Your father's a failure. Your mother was miserable, and you were caught in the middle. I was trying to help. By turning me against my dad? By making me think he was pathetic? Your father is pathetic. Look at him. A washed-up electrician whose business is failing, who spends his nights hiding in the garage instead of fighting for his marriage. Travis is everything your father isn't. Successful, confident, exciting. Travis is a pill dealer who seduces married women for money, Emma shot back. How is that better than having a dad who actually works for a living? I felt a surge of pride watching my daughter finally see through the manipulation. But Maya wasn't done. Your precious father followed your mother to a motel and vandalized someone's car like a jealous teenager. He's made your family the laughingstock of the entire town. Is that the kind of man you want to defend? Better than defending someone who destroys families for profit, Emma said. Maya turned to me, her mask completely off now. You want to know the truth about your daughter, Mike? She's been helping, telling me about your fights, your problems, your weaknesses. Every piece of information I needed to help Sarah see what a failure you are came from your own child. The words hit Emma like a physical blow. She staggered backward, tears streaming down her face. I didn't know. I was just talking to you because Mom said you were trying to help. You were helping, Maya said with cruel satisfaction. You helped me understand exactly how to position your father as the villain in this story. I moved toward Maya, my hands clenched into fists. Every instinct I had was screaming at me to hurt her, to make her pay for what she'd done to my family. But I forced myself to stop. Get out, I said quietly. Excuse me? Get out of my house, now, before I do something we'll both regret. Maya looked around the room, at Sarah, who was crying silently on the couch, at Emma, who was staring at her with horror, at me, who was barely controlling the urge to throw her through the front window. This isn't over, she said. Sarah, when you come to your senses, you know where to find me. My offer still stands. Your offer is rescinded, Sarah said, her voice stronger than it had been all evening. I want you out of my life, out of our lives, forever. Maya's composure finally cracked completely. You're making a mistake, Sarah. A huge mistake. You think Mike is going to forgive you? You think your marriage can survive this? You're deluding yourself. Maybe, Sarah said. But at least I'll be making my own choices instead of following your script. Maya grabbed her purse and headed for the door. When this all falls apart, and it will, don't come crying to me. You had a chance to take control of your life, and you threw it away for a man who will never be anything more than a small-town failure. The door slammed behind her, leaving the three of us alone in the wreckage of our living room. For a long moment, nobody spoke. Then Emma broke down completely, sobbing into her hands. I'm sorry, Dad, I'm so sorry. I didn't know she was using what I told her. I thought she was trying to help Mom be happy. I sat down next to my daughter and pulled her into a hug. She felt small and fragile, nothing like the angry teenager who'd been calling me pathetic just days before. It's not your fault, I said. Maya is a professional manipulator. She's been doing this for years. You couldn't have known. But I said those things about you. I called you pathetic. I said Travis was better than you. I helped her turn Mom against you. You're 16 years old, and you were being manipulated by an adult who makes her living destroying families. The only person responsible for this mess is Maya. Sarah was watching us from across the room, tears streaming down her face. Mike, I'm so sorry. I don't know how to... I can't believe I let her. We'll deal with it, I said. All of it. But first, I need to know, is it over? With Travis? With Maya's plan? With all of it? Sarah nodded emphatically. Yes, God, yes, I feel so stupid, so used. I thought I was taking control of my life, but I was just following someone else's script. And Travis? I never want to see him again. The thought of him touching me makes me sick now that I know what he really is. Emma looked up at me with red, swollen eyes. Dad, can you forgive me? For the things I said, for helping them hurt you? There's nothing to forgive, I said. You're my daughter, and I love you no matter what. We're family, and families stick together when outsiders try to tear them apart. Even Mom? Emma asked, looking at Sarah. After what she did? I followed Emma's gaze to my wife, who was sitting on the edge of the couch, looking lost and broken. The woman who'd betrayed me, lied to me, humiliated me in front of the entire town. The woman who'd been manipulated into nearly destroying our family by a hunter who saw us as nothing more than a business opportunity. Even Mom, I said. If she wants to be part of this family again, Sarah looked up at me with something like hope in her eyes. Do you mean that? After everything I've done? Maya was right about one thing, I said. Our marriage was in trouble before she came along. We'd grown apart, stopped talking, stopped trying, but that doesn't excuse what happened. And it doesn't mean we can't fix it if we both want to. I want to, Sarah said quickly. More than anything, I want to fix this. Then we will. But first, we're going to make sure Maya and Travis can't do this to anyone else. Emma wiped her eyes. What do you mean? I held up the flash drive Jennifer had given me. I mean, we're going to expose them. Their whole operation, all the families they've destroyed, everything. By the time I'm done, they won't be able to show their faces in this town again. Is that enough? Sarah asked. After what they did to us, to other families? I smiled, and it wasn't a particularly nice expression. Oh, that's just the beginning. Maya and Travis wanted to play games with my family? Fine. But they picked the wrong Marine to mess with. What are you going to do? Emma asked. I'm going to show them what real devastation looks like. Outside, I could see Mrs. Delaney's light was on again, probably monitoring our house for more drama to share with the neighborhood. But for the first time in days, I didn't care. Let her watch. Let the whole town watch. Because Maya and Travis were about to learn that destroying a Marine's family came with consequences they'd never imagined. The war was far from over. In fact, it was just getting started.